What's up, Facebook? This is Nita B with the Village. We're out here live, word on the curb, at Berkeley, at our folks here at Berkeley Friends on Wheels. They are currently facing eviction. Peter Radu, who was recently quit as a member of the mayor's administration in Oakland, California, has now joined Berkeley's city administration, and he's in charge of overseeing everything around homelessness. He is in charge of this eviction, and there's some crazy stuff happening. I'm gonna let the folks who live here share.
You're here at the Vehicle Community Friends on Wheels. We have been living in this intersection for 3 years, and a little bit more than 3 years. And we basically came to this location because we were first displaced from the Berkeley Marina. We used to park in the parking lot, and it was empty. And then the parking lot has actually been empty until now. And this is how we ended up on this area of Berkeley. So basically what's happening is that today they're opening up the safe parking lot. And today a lot of city workers came out to not just hand out vouchers to my neighbors, but they actually came out to tow vehicles, the vehicles that couldn't actually make it to the parking spot. So our morning basically started with, towing all the people in smaller cars and vans that were not eligible for this parking lot. So we had to do that and make sure that their vehicle homes were safe. And then we were also helping out our neighbors that kept getting mixed messages about whether they could stay here today or they had to leave by October 6th. So today they actually told us that no more vehicles are getting towed today. But we did have like a couple of smaller vehicles towed, at least 5. And there was like at least 3 different towing companies in this area just to get them out of the way. And then basically what's happening now is that we're also trying to tow the non-working vehicles into the safe parking lot. And these my neighbors already also got a slip to enter this parking lot. Yet the city is not allowing us to actually drop off these vehicles into the parking lot so that could be safe. So there's a lot of mixed messaging because actually the city had offered to tow these vehicles into the safe parking lot since the beginning. So a lot of my neighbors, they were confident that they will be able to be safe today. And actually the city just changed their messaging, and then they said that we had to get there on our own. And we also had to get there, basically even if we got a tow truck, the tow truck cannot enter the parking lot. We have to push the RV to get inside that lot by hand, or it has to be powered on its own. So this is making it very difficult to actually get these vehicles to a safe place. And I just feel like my neighbors have been, they have been really stressed since we got these notices that appear in all of our sidewalks on Friday morning. So we have not gotten enough notice to actually get our vehicles started and get them moving. So what I would like to also invite is my neighbors just to explain to you how they feel about the parking lot. But just to give you a little bit of context of what the parking lot is offering. So basically the parking lot will fund vehicle registration and minor vehicle repairs just to make the vehicle roadworthy, which means that the vehicle has to be able to get out of that parking lot after the year is done. Case management or housing and rent assistance will not be available at this safe parking lot, which means that vehicles will have to return to the streets after the year is over. There is no information other than Dorothy Day House. People can just seek referrals or information from them, but they're not their case managers. Families who wanted to enter this parking lot are now actually banned from doing so. And a lot of RVs are actually occupied by families. They need the space to live in them. So now we're actually excluding families that need a safe place to park from entering this place. There's also no nighttime curfew, no guests, no extra vehicles. Your extra driving vehicles have to be parked outside. There's no nighttime curfew. There is no substance use in the premises. All pets are allowed, but they have to be leashed. Cooking is allowed inside the vehicle. And all the amenities that we need to actually power our home will not be given to us. Basically, if you need electricity, if you need water, you have to go inside the indoor shelter to get them. There's not going to be no amenities for each individual vehicle home. That's not what they're offering. So basically what they're offering is just a parking space so you don't get towed here today. But I will, yeah.
Could you tell us your name so we can keep everybody straight?
Yeah, no problem. And my name is Jessica Prado. And thank you for having me today. And
Jessica,
yeah.
Jessica.
You spell Jessica Yesica.
Last name?
Last name Prado, Prado.
And you're a resident here?
And I'm a resident. My vehicle is right there.
And sorry, the name of the group again.
I'm sorry, the name of the group is Friends on Wheels. Yeah, thank you. And also, so I would like to tell some of my neighbors so they can also explain what they have gone through today and what it will be like for them. So I'd just like to call Merced. She's parked behind me. She's been my neighbor for the last 3 years. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Merced Dominguez.
To this one.
Okay. I lived out here for 7 years, having lost my home to Bank of America. Through no fault of my own, all that can be proven. It seems that the city has disinherited us and is placing us in a community where there is no available stores where people can walk. And there's many people out here that have no access to vehicles or are disabled. And yet the mayor of Berkeley uses words like, we're going to do what we can in a compassionate manner to help those that are displaced. Rashi, the councilwoman for this area, won't even meet with us to help us understand what is the truth, what it is that we can expect. Other programs that they wanted to instill was to have parking with permits. That was washed. And nonetheless, we're out here waiting for something that would be feasible for all of us as human beings, just to be able to live somewhere. On Grayson Street is an isolated cul-de-sac, minimal lights, and we're just pushed away from the rest of society. There's nothing there for us. People say, well, you can walk to the Berkeley Bowl. The Berkeley Bowl is a good distance away if you have a disability. And mine is degenerative spondylosis. And it makes it difficult. My mailbox is over here on Hearst Avenue. The distance for us to walk from Grayson is just not feasible for the rest of us. And I just wish that the city, we can't even meet with the mayor. We can't meet with Rashi because they've shut down the city. And for that reason, we're frustrated because it's like, we have this for you. It's safe, and that's where you can go. First, they're going to provide showers, laundry, post office assistance. But all that's been dismissed. So we're wondering what it is that we can actually expect as human beings in this area. I'm frustrated. I've been out here for 7 years. I become accustomed to the area as well as other people. Towards the end of the month, if you're on a pension or receiving federal funds, the only place we have around here where we can buy food is the Dollar Tree. There's no buses running down 6th Street anymore, 7th Street. All that's been shut down and taken away. So how are we supposed to just maintain life, to have some kind of quality of life? And that's not going to happen being placed over there. Why couldn't they go back to, if they don't want us clustered, help us to break up, find another solution where we can still be a part of the community instead of being just parked away somewhere where there's just isolation. We're people, we're human beings. A lot of us didn't ask to come out here. And why are we out here? Because of the rents. The rents are too high. You ask anybody, why are you out here? I can't afford to pay $2,000. But yet the developers talk about the Shattuck corridor for empty nesters, high-end wage earners, and young professionals. Which one of us has been able to do that? We were working people at one point, but they just want to focus on people that are the drug addicts. They drop needles. They're just trashy scum. That's not who I am. And that, as human beings, the people that are around here, that's not who we are. We care about our place. Don't confuse us with what you see out here. Just ask people or talk to them. And that's something that the city refuses to do, is just to talk to us and have some kind of communication and understanding. Instead, all we get is chaos and havoc. And that causes more stress and frustration.
Yes.
For that reason, I'm just asking that the city become more so-called compassionate, as Jessie Aragin likes to say, and Rashi with her championing the rights for social justice. Where is she?
You know that's right.
anyway, that's my feeling for the moment in time.
Can you spell your name as well, please?
Merced, M-E-R-C-E-D.
Last name.
Dominguez, D-O-M-I-N-G-U-E-Z.
Thank you, Merced. Really appreciate your testimony. Next, I would like to call Melissa. Melissa has been parking over here as well for over 3 years as well with us. I would just like to call her to the mic and share her story. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to make clear some things that have occurred here this morning and let you know it isn't as it seems where we were told everything truly and clearly ahead of time. Obviously, those of us that you're hearing from right now, we're well-spoken, intelligent, we do understand paperwork, those kinds of things. Initially, what had been said was, after the safe parking lot opened, which was to be 7 a.m. this morning, vehicles then had the following week to move into there. So we were had the understanding that they had until the 6th, next Wednesday, to move into the safe parking lot. Okay, that sounded great. Everybody was in agreement with that. This morning at 7 a.m., parking enforcement showed up, city workers showed up, tow trucks showed up, and they started hooking up to vehicles preparing to tow. We ended up getting between them and verbally fighting, going back and forth in order to halt the towing. What was happening was the people they were trying to tow were on the safe parking lot list. They have already agreed to go to the safe parking lot. And now their vehicles, their RVs, were in danger of being taken away from them before they had even had a chance to get to the lot. Let me be clear again. The lot did not open and was not even made available prior to 7 a.m. this morning. In addition to that, long before today, we had repeatedly told multiple council members and city workers that we had vehicles that A, did not run, or B, were too large and were trailers that need to be towed, that we needed help moving. We were told on multiple occasions that was a possibility that we could get help. It wasn't until today that they said, oh no, well that just turned out it wasn't going to happen. They didn't have money for it. Okay, that's fine. We could have worked with that, but we didn't find that information out until this morning, which resulted in me, after we halted the tows, getting on an emergency phone call with a lawyer and begging for help with moving the vehicles to the safe parking lot that cannot move, which are the majority of the vehicles. The lawyer was able to secure a truck for us and funding. The tow truck did show up. It wasn't until then that the city worker announced that he was going to halt all towing. But it was only under those circumstances, those urgent circumstances, that he agreed to do that. We had asked for clarification on these things ahead of time, and we were not given that information until the last minute this morning. So what has happened now is the tow truck has come. We have secured a tow truck. The city of Berkeley is not paying. I wanted to make it completely clear that the city of Berkeley is not paying for this tow truck to help move people to the safe parking lot. We just secured that money just now. And the tow truck driver is doing this right now. And he has agreed to give us a discount, but we, the citizens, have gotten this done after learning that the city was not going to help us. In addition to that, despite the fact that we have notified them that we have secured a tow truck, we have secured funding, the driver has actually been paid, and we are currently in the process of getting vehicles moved down to the Grayson Street safe parking lot. He has already started moving the first few vehicles. So we have notified the city workers of this and everyone in charge of what's going on here of this. Despite that fact, they are going to continue with citations. So what will happen is, if we cannot get all of the vehicles towed by 3 o'clock today, the remaining vehicles will be cited, even if they are on the safe parking lot list. I'm not sure if I've made this entirely clear, everything I've said, but I'm trying to convey to you that we have been working with them. We have asked for clarification. Whatever information we have been given, we have worked with. When the information wasn't clear, we did repeatedly go back to the city for clarification and just simply weren't given answers. And that is what has led to this urgent situation right now where the safe parking lot has just opened at 7 this morning, but also towing and citation was to occur at the same time, concurrently. In addition to that, I also want people to know that a lot of the residents here are in fact on housing waiting lists, and they have been on housing waiting lists for a very, very long time. We're talking about not just weeks or months, and it has nothing to do with the coronavirus pandemic. We're talking about people who were in house long before that. These people have been on housing waiting lists for up to 2 years, some even longer. Despite what's happening here this morning, they still have not been offered housing. And I wanted to make it painfully clear that this is not a case of them not following up or not completing their paperwork properly or doing something wrong on their account, because there are people who have been here to advocate for them. People like me, people like Jessica. Their paperwork has been done completely. Everything was filed a very long time ago. And for more than a year, people have still been on the waiting list with no sign of being housed permanently whatsoever. Follow-ups have been made. We have asked almost weekly, what is going on with so-and-so's housing? What is going on with this person's housing? Weekly, asked for updates. And each time, and I do not blame the workers that we have gone to who work with the city, because they ultimately don't control it either. Each time they've said, we don't have any updates. So what is happening with the people that are on housing waiting lists is if they have not gotten into the safe parking lot, they will be in danger of having their vehicle towed, the only shelter that they have been able to provide themselves. I need people to understand what is happening here is a group of people who have done everything they can to help themselves. They housed themselves in an RV. They filled out the paperwork. They complied with what they needed to do to get on a housing waiting list. They agreed to go to the safe parking lot, and still we're finding ourselves in an incredibly difficult situation that we were having to use the help of completely volunteers and donation money to remedy the situation. And that is not how it should have been. We did ask for proper clarification, proper funding, and proper help in a proper amount of time. None of that was provided. Does anybody have any questions?
The damage that was done so far, though, is what citations, and did anybody get towed?
Okay, so the citations have not happened yet. They will start at 3 o'clock. What I want to make clear about the citation issue is we only have one tow truck that can do these tows. It takes a very special type of truck to tow an RV to the lot, and there's only one available. So in terms of time, it's almost impossible for the tow truck driver, and he is working with us as fast as he can. It's almost impossible for him to get all of those vehicles there. Let me change that. It is impossible for him to get all of those vehicles to that lot by the time limit that they're giving us. So once that time hits, citations will start. So we have people waiting now to be towed to the lot, and if their vehicle doesn't make it in by 3 o'clock, they will be hit with a citation. And I understand, I need to clarify this as well. There is an organization that will be donating money to cover all of the citations. They have agreed to do that already. But that is part of what has happened urgently this morning, as we had to contact people for that kind of help. It's money that is being spent needlessly. It is bureaucracy that is happening needlessly. I asked for a full 24 hours for this tow truck driver to get these vehicles to this lot without the threat of towing and without the threat of citation. Because remember, the lot did not open until 7 o'clock this morning. So whatever warnings they gave otherwise about street sweeping or citations or anything like that is kind of a moot point. They had nowhere to go until 7 this morning. I am asking for a very reasonable, since we secured the money, hold on. Due to the fact that we, the citizens, secured the money and the truck to move them, and we have found an organization to help out with other costs, and Berkeley is not helping with anything, and citizens are helping with cleanup and the packing up of the RVs. Due to all those facets of this situation, I am simply asking at this very moment that not only the tow stop, which they have agreed to stop towing, but also citations stop as well for 24 hours. I do not think it is unreasonable for a 24-hour period from the opening of the safe parking lot for us to move those vehicles in there without threat of any kind of civil action against us.
Do you think they will comply with that?
I've actually made a lot of headway this morning, but as I said, when things first started, we had none of these options. We literally had to fight for every single moment that we got this morning. We literally stopped a towing. We literally had to make emergency calls.
Did they actually get to tow anybody?
They did tow a couple of vehicles, I believe, before we knew what was going on, as it started right at 7 a.m. I don't believe they were RVs, correct?
No, not yet.
Just passenger vehicles, extra vehicles, or they said abandoned possibly, but I'm not clear on that, so I'm probably not
And
the
when did
best.
the signs go up?
Friday.
Oh, okay. So
Okay. So the differentiation, the problem with the signs is people were made obviously aware with the signs, but like I said, the safe parking lot situation wasn't supposed to start until 7 this morning, and we were told that those people couldn't be moved in until 7. There were 2 individuals here who in fact did go down to the safe parking lot a couple of days ago, and they weren't allowed in. So that it could have been avoided is what I'm saying. Like, towing and also moving should not happen at the same time. Other questions?
So last question. Do you feel that this was all done in spite, or is this just a misunderstanding?
No, I'm not going to say spite or misunderstanding. What it is a lot of really poor communication among every single department, every single person that works with the city of Berkeley, but also that works with the the county of Alameda. If you are a person that tries to work in any facet of this system, what you find is there's no communication between even departments in the same building. If you tell a city council member, hey, I signed up for the safe parking, I heard I was going to help moving my vehicle, and the city council member replied, yes, there's going to be money to help do that, and you say okay, and then you're told I have until the 6th next Wednesday to move, you think you're okay. And then other city workers from a different department come and say, no, that's not true. It starts today. So I really honestly don't think it is spite from most of the people, but it is a complete and total unwillingness for departments and different levels of the city, every level of the city, to communicate with each other and completely agree on what is going to happen at what moment in time, and to convey all of that information accurately to the people involved. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Can I get your name one more time?
I'll just go by Melissa, nothing else.
Melissa.
Yeah.
And you're with this group as well?
Friends on Wheels, yes.
Great. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have one question. It's a hard-pressed question, might be in the back of your all mind. Now, the parking lot you're going to, you're only going to be allowed to be there for a year.
Correct.
People
My understanding was 11 months.
11 months? Sure, wow. And the fact that you all been here even before COVID, you've been on housing lists, you haven't been housed.
Correct.
They haven't done anything. And this is a community. We become people when we're out here. We don't start being animals.
Correct.
So now when it comes to how many people are willing to go to that lot knowing that after a year they're going to have what it took more than a year to build up here, they're going to be back out on the street with the same system that's failing.
I did speak to someone about that.
Are some of you all staying
Right.
and locking down? And
I can speak to that.
Yes, sir.
So I was already aware that there was a strong possibility that people could end up back on the street. And I have posed that same question to multiple people within the city, and I have not been given any answer. I said, there's a definite timeline with the safe parking lot. People are already on housing waiting lists, and more than 2 years later, they still haven't gotten any housing. So once the time limit, if they still haven't gotten any housing, once the time limit is up on the safe parking lot, what happens then? And they have simply not given me any answer. They don't have an answer. So I said, so they're just going to be kicked out in the street again. No answer.
Respect.
What I'm saying is they don't have clear direction on anything, and they're just going to play it as they like, minute by minute, and probably not notify the people. And this kind of situation Like I said, I am not advocating for people being all over the street and taking over streets and sidewalks and businesses and those kinds of things. I'm sorry. I'm not. I understand the problems. I do entirely. But I'm asking for something that makes sense. If I tell you we can do this and we can work together and you say, okay, we're going to do this, and I tell you if you don't have a housing program attached to the safe parking lot, as they do not, you're going to end up with people back on the streets again. They have been turning a deaf ear to that. So yes, you're going to end up with more people back on the street again. I'm not crazy in asking that doesn't happen. It takes more than just this small group of people who I repeatedly see at every single meeting that we go to. It takes more than just the few people who come and support us in Berkeley. It needs to be a regional and statewide issue that is addressed.
Thank you for bringing that up and for staying soft.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Appreciate that.
Thank you, Melissa. Next up, we have Ron. Ron is actually one of the members that did not get a slot to the safe parking lot, so he would like to speak about that. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ron Banish. I think my neighbors have covered the major issues here pretty well. We're a group of people living on the margins, and this is going to push a lot of people right out of their homes, so to speak, onto the street. I personally live in a van, and there's been nothing offered as far as, even a safe place to park for me. We're not eligible to go to the new facility, so we're kind of left hanging. There's a couple things that are likely to happen here. We're clearing out this area. I've moved off of my spot, but I've just moved into the next neighborhood over. So, they've just moved the problem to another area now, which isn't helpful. And the effort to get people out of their vehicles, I believe, is counterproductive, because the next step from the vehicle is onto the street in a tent.
Yeah.
Okay? So, you don't like to look at the junky vehicles, I understand that, but do you really want to, see people living in tents on the street, which even seems worse to me. That's just about it, but I would like to say that if they are successful in removing me from my vehicle, I will be living in front of the city manager's house on the sidewalk.
Amen to that, bro.
Or the mayor.
Bless.
And so that's their alternative. This is distasteful, I know. It's a major problem. There are no easy answers. This is my second lifetime, so I've owned homes before, okay? And I know where the homeowners are coming from. So there's no easy solutions, but this isn't a solution at all. This is pandemonium. This is chaos. I just want to mention one more time and put a finer point on it, that the safe parking wasn't open before they started doing all this. So what they've done is this morning they've, scattered a bunch of people to the winds, basically. This is a terribly disorganized effort. I've gotten no information whatsoever except from Jessica. Nobody's approached me in my van. Nobody's, so nobody. Well, they care about moving people on. This is a difficult problem, and this is no solution to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Very much appreciate your feedback. Next up, I would like to call Amber Whitson. Her vehicle actually got towed this morning, and if she hadn't woken up, her second vehicle would have been towed.
Hi. The parking lot that they are wanting us to go to, that they are forcing us to go to, has no protection from the sun. I have 4 small dogs and have to run my generator to run my air conditioning unit to keep it cool enough in there when the sun's beating down on my RV, for it to be safe for me and my dogs. Where I've been parked for over 3 years on 8th Street, just east of the Tesla building, we only get sun for part of the day. A small part of the day. In the parking lot on Grayson Street, you get sun almost the entire day. That will make the inside of my RV deadly hot for my dogs unless I run my air conditioner for most of the day. That will take a lot more gas than it takes to cool my RV where I've been parked. We are not allowed to have visitors in the city-run parking lot. My best friend Sarah will not be able to come by to visit me and check on me and walk my dogs when I'm not feeling well. There are better options than to intimidate people into a barren parking lot as far from the rest of society as you can put us without driving us onto the freeway off-ramps or out into the bay. There are members of our community who have adult children and minor grandchildren who come by and visit them on a regular basis. They will not be able to have visits from their family, especially family members who are minor children, as minor children are not allowed in the lot. I have been trying to reach someone via the phone number that we were all given with which to inquire about the parking at the safe parking lot for days. The day before yesterday, I called the phone number twice and left voicemails both times. Yesterday, I called the phone number twice and both times received a message that the voicemail box is full. The city has not even tried to make themselves available to provide us with any answers or any information regarding what we can and are supposed to do in order to keep ourselves safe and keep our vehicle homes. After we were told yesterday that we needed to make sure that we were here in this area and with our vehicles in order to be able to receive a pass to enter the safe parking and that they would not be towing any vehicles today, the city changed up at the last minute and showed up early this morning towing vehicles, including my work van.
Damn.
Any questions?
Have they talked to you or any other individuals about returning of the vehicles?
Of course not. That's not profitable for them.
There's questions out there. I just
Yep.
I
No,
apologize.
no, it's not your fault. You know. But yeah, no, I doubt they'll return them. It'll be a miracle if they return my work van.
And can you talk about how that's going to impact you to have lost your work van?
Yeah, well, I mean, I love that work van. It's an old work van. It's a great work van. It's my work van. You know, I mean, I need it now. Like as my Durango. You know, at least I got something. It doesn't leave me only driving my RV around because I'm a mobile mechanic. I mean,
Right.
I drive it around and help people.
So you can't do your job.
I can do my job, but not as well as I could
As you
with
could.
as much space as in my work van.
Okay.
You know,
So this impacts your means of income.
yeah, it impacts me in a lot of ways. Yeah, I mean I love that van. Yeah, but I got out of bed and I didn't even make it out the door before they had it, and they were about to hitch up my Durango to a tow truck, and my Durango is fully registered. Supposedly they were going to be towing unregistered vehicles, but my Durango is completely legal. My work van it has a salvage title, but I mean they've red tagged it before. They could have red tagged it this time, and they decided to take it instead.
Respect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amber. Next up, I would like to call Osher Newman. He's a civil rights attorney for the Unhoused, and he has been helping us a lot, always being here for us. So thank you for being here today.
So what's happening, unfortunately, in Berkeley is part of a pattern that is taking place here, but also in other cities, which is that cities make a decision that they want to essentially make invisible and get rid of the homeless people that are in the street. And so what they do is they then set up a shelter or a safe parking lot, and then once they've set it up, then they feel that that's then their signal to be able to clear everybody out of everywhere else in the city. And that's essentially what they're doing now. Whether or not that safe parking lot or shelter works for people doesn't matter. It gives them the excuse. So in this case, as Amber said, there are many ways it doesn't work. Also,
So my phone lost its juice, so I went back into the car to charge it up. But I'm gonna let the phone rest for a little bit. From what I've heard so far today, this is very much like how Oakland also deals with curbside communities, which is really to say one thing and then do the opposite. say that they're working with compassion, say that they have a plan, say that no one is going to be left in a worse situation, but then the opposite happens. And so we see that happening here today. This is one of the encampments, one of the communities that Feed the People, the village, visits on a weekly basis, and builds with and provides hot meals and groceries to. It's one of the most organized curbside communities I have ever seen in the 6 years that I've been doing work in the streets with unhoused settlements. And the fact that this is how they're getting treated when they are so organized. There's so many elders that stay here too, and there's children that stay here too. Like, it is really its own neighborhood, and it spans 1, 2, 3 blocks in one direction, and then 1, 2, 3, another 3 blocks in another direction. It's a huge community of folks that is super tight knit and super organized. And it's a shame to just hear what they've had to go through. But it's no different than what's happening in Oakland. Again, politicians will tell you one thing, make it sound like they're doing something good, throw around, tag words like compassion and dignity, and make these promises that they don't follow through on. And then leave people in a bad way. Worse than when the city intervened. Which is why we say if you're going to intervene and your intervention is going to cause more harm than help, then don't intervene until you can actually help. So I'm going to sign off now so that my phone can get more juice, so that I can continue recording folks' testimonies about what's happening here at the Berkeley Friends on Wheels community over on Harrison and 8th. That's the center, the hub of this community. Like I said, that it spans 3 blocks in all directions. It's huge. Thanks for tuning in. If you stay in Berkeley, call your council people, call your mayor. I know that the Berkeley's mayor, he likes to tell his story that, as a young LGBTQ man, he was homeless on the streets. So he understands homelessness. So if he understands the struggle of living curbside, why is he doing interventions or allowing for interventions to be done that actually don't help unhoused folks, but put them into deeper crisis and deeper setbacks? So I'll be back once my phone is charged, get some more testimonies from folks. And if you guys are in Oakland, like I said, unless you've actually been to an eviction, like I really, 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 really suggest folks, whether you like homeless people and have compassion for homeless folks, whether you know homeless people, whether you don't know homeless people, whether you hate homeless people, go to a City of Oakland eviction. You need to witness firsthand the horror, literally, of what happens at evictions. And how crazy it is, and how the promises that the city makes to people don't happen. Unless there's media and lawyers and activists who are forcing them to keep their promises. But, yeah, it doesn't happen. And the practices that the city of Oakland has with evictions have actually left people dead, frozen to death. We know one brother killed himself because he had already been evicted by the city. Had his tiny house he built bulldozed 5 times. 5th time was too much, so he killed himself right there. There is blood on city officials' hands. Hey, and here's Peter